Welcome to VideoBooks YouTube channel. I won't ask you to like or subscribe because I know you've already done that. I'll ask you to comment where you're watching the video from. The play by Elle Kennedy from Briar U series. The introduction chapter of the play immediately establishes the high-stakes, hyper-disciplined world of Hunter Davenport as he prepares for his junior year at Briar University. Following a chaotic sophomore season filled with off-ice distractions, team drama, and a major scandal that rocked the hockey program, Hunter has made a radical decision to completely change his lifestyle to ensure he keeps his eyes on the ultimate prize, leading the Briar hockey team to a national championship and securing a spot in the professional draft. He has officially instituted a strict, self-imposed celibacy pact for the entire academic year. The narrative kicks off on the very first day of the semester, introducing Hunter's rigid routine of early morning workouts, ice practice, and strict mental discipline. He's determined to stay away from the campus party scene and avoid any romantic or physical entanglements that could drain his energy or derail his focus. However, his resolve is immediately put to the test when he walks into his advanced psychology seminar and is paired up for a semester-long group project with Demi Davis. Demi is introduced as a sharp-witted, fiercely independent, and beautiful marketing student who is dealing with her own transition after a long-term relationship. From their very first interaction, the chemistry between them is undeniable, sparking a brilliant back-and-forth banter that threatens to shatter Hunter's carefully constructed walls. While Demi has zero interest in becoming another hockey player's conquest, and Hunter is fiercely committed to his rules, the project forces them into close proximity. The chapter perfectly sets up the central conflict of the novel, a classic game of willpower versus temptation, where the rigid rules of a protective athlete are about to collide head-on with a connection he never saw coming. Chapter 1 opens by plunging us directly into the fast-paced, high-pressure environment that defines the daily life of the elite college athlete. We are introduced to the male protagonist, Hunter Davenport, who is currently dealing with the heavy weight of expectations as a key player on the university hockey team. The atmosphere is thick with the sounds of skates carving into ice, the sharp slap of pucks against boards, and the intense vocal coaching that characterizes a serious practice session. Hunter is intensely focused on his performance, knowing that scouts are constantly watching and that his future in the professional leagues depends entirely on his discipline and focus during his college years. He is a character driven by a deep need to prove himself, not just to the fans and his coaches, but also to his family, who have their own high standards for his athletic career. Simultaneously, the chapter establishes the complex social dynamics that exist outside the rink, showing how easily the glamorous status of a star athlete can become a distraction. Hunter is highly aware of the temptations that surround him on campus, from the constant parties to the attention from peers who only see him as a hockey star rather than a real person. To maintain his focus and avoid jeopardizing his athletic scholarship or his standing on the team, Hunter has self-imposed a strict set of rules, including a vow of temporary celibacy to keep his mind entirely on the game. This decision sets up an immediate internal conflict, as he must constantly battle his own natural impulses and the peer pressure of his teammates who do not share his rigid approach to discipline. The narrative paints a vivid picture of a young man walking a tightrope between his desires and his ambitions, trying desperately to keep his personal life completely simple so that his professional life can thrive. As the scene shifts away from the ice, the chapter introduces the female protagonist, Demi Matthews, whose path is about to collide with Hunter's in an unexpected way. Demi is an independent, sharp-witted student who stands in stark contrast to the typical crowd that hangs around the hockey team. She's navigating her own set of challenges, including a long-term relationship that has begun to feel more like a habit than a source of genuine happiness. Demi is comfortable in her own skin, intelligent, and entirely unimpressed by the athletic celebrity culture that dominates the campus social hierarchy. When she and Hunter cross paths for the first time, there's an immediate spark of friction and curiosity between them. Hunter is caught off guard by her quick humor and her total lack of deference to his status, while Demi finds herself intrigued by the intensity and the obvious layers of complexity that Hunter hides behind his jock persona. This initial interaction sets the groundwork for a dynamic based on mutual challenge, signaling that neither of them will be able to maintain their carefully constructed defenses for very long. By the end of the chapter, the stage is set for a narrative that explores the boundaries of self-control and the unpredictability of human connection. Hunter's resolve is tested almost immediately by Demi's presence, forcing him to realize that keeping his life in a neat, isolated compartment is going to be much harder than he originally anticipated. Demi is left reflecting on the stagnation of her own current relationship and the strange, undeniable pull she felt during her brief conversation with the hockey player. The author uses this first chapter to masterfully establish the dual perspectives that will drive the story forward, balancing the intense physical world of sports with the delicate internal world of romantic tension. The tone is set as both humorous and emotionally grounded, promising a deeper exploration of what happens when two people who think they have their lives completely figured out are forced to reevaluate everything because of an accidental meeting. Chapter 2 transitions to Demi's perspective, allowing us to dive deeper into her personal life, her long-term relationship, and her current state of mind. The chapter begins by illustrating her daily routine on campus and her interactions with her boyfriend Nico. While Nico is a stable presence in her life, and they have been together for years, the narrative quickly reveals that the spark between them has died down into a predictable, almost stagnant routine. Nico is comfortable, perhaps too comfortable, and his attention is often directed elsewhere, leaving Demi feeling somewhat invisible and unfulfilled. She tries to convince herself that this comfort is what a mature relationship looks like, but her recent brief encounter with Hunter has left a lingering question mark in her mind about what she truly wants from a partner. The contrast between her safe, boring relationship and the high-energy world of the hockey team becomes even clearer when Demi finds herself attending a university social gathering. It is at this event that she crosses paths with Hunter once again, and the chemistry between them is immediate and difficult to ignore. Unlike Nico, who takes her for granted, Hunter's highly attentive and engages with her in a playful, banter-heavy conversation that keeps her on her toes. Hunter is drawn to Demi's sharp wit and the fact that she treats him like a normal human being rather than a campus celebrity, which is a rare and refreshing experience for him. Despite his strict vow of celibacy and his determination to keep his distance from romantic distractions, Hunter finds himself looking for excuses to stay near her and keep the conversation going. As they talk, the underlying tension between them builds, balanced by a growing sense of comfortable camaraderie. They discover that they share a similar sense of humor and an ability to read each other easily, which makes their interaction feel natural despite their very different social circles. Hunter is forced to actively remind himself of his rules and his commitment to his sport, realizing that Demi is exactly the kind of distraction that could test his discipline to its limits. Demi, on the other hand, feels a confusing mix of guilt over her attraction to another man and a liberating sense of excitement that she has not felt in her own relationship for a very long time. This interaction makes it clear to both of them that their initial meeting was not just a one-time fluke, but the start of a complicated connection that will be difficult to avoid. By the conclusion of the chapter, the dynamic between the two protagonists has shifted from casual curiosity to a mutual acknowledgement of the pull between them. Hunter is left grappling with the reality that his self-imposed rules are going to be much harder to maintain than he thought, especially since he cannot seem to get Demi out of his mind. Demi returns to her regular life with a heightened awareness of the cracks in her relationship with Nico, realizing that she can no longer ignore the lack of passion and attention that has come to define her love life. The author masterfully uses this chapter to complicate the emotional landscape for both characters, setting up an impending crossroad where Demi will have to choose between the safety of her past and the unpredictable excitement of a potential future with Hunter. Chapter 3 shifts the focus back to Hunter as he struggles to maintain his focus during an intense week of training and academic obligations. The hockey team is preparing for a major upcoming game, and the pressure from the coaching staff is at an all-time high. Hunter spends hours on the ice, pushing his physical limits to ensure that his performance is flawless, but his mind keeps wandering back to his conversation with Demi. He finds himself frustrated by this lack of mental discipline as he prides himself on his ability to shut out the rest of the world when it comes to his sport. His teammates notice his slight distraction and tease him about it, completely unaware of the strict internal battle he's fighting to uphold his vow of celibacy and stay entirely dedicated to his athletic goals. Meanwhile, Demi is facing her own internal crisis as the distance between her and Nico continues to grow. She attempts to bridge the gap by scheduling a dinner date with him, hoping to reignite the connection that has felt so absent lately. However, the evening does not go as planned, as Nico remains distracted by his phone and his own social circle, treating the dinner more like an obligation than a romantic evening. This neglect solidifies Demi's realization that her relationship has become completely one-sided. She begins to understand that staying with Nico just because they have a history is no longer enough to justify her unhappiness, and the contrast between Nico's indifference and Hunter's intense attention becomes impossible for her to ignore. Later in the chapter, an accidental encounter brings Hunter and Demi together again in a quieter, more personal setting on campus. Free from the noise of parties or the pressure of the hockey rink, they have an opportunity to speak more candidly about their lives. Demi opens up slightly about the frustrations she's experiencing, while Hunter shares the immense pressure he feels to succeed for the sake of his future career. This moment of vulnerability shifts their dynamic from mere flirtatious banter to a deeper, more genuine understanding of each other's characters. Hunter realizes that Demi is not just a temporary distraction but someone he deeply respects, which makes his determination to keep his distance even more difficult to maintain. The chapter draws to a close with both characters standing on the edge of a major shift in their personal lives. Hunter returns to his dorm room feeling more conflicted than ever, realizing that his rules are failing to protect him from the genuine emotional pull he feels toward Demi. Demi finishes her evening by making a definitive decision about her future, acknowledging that she can no longer stay in a relationship where she feels completely invisible. The author uses this chapter to effectively transition the characters from casual acquaintances to two individuals whose emotional lives are becoming deeply intertwined, setting up the inevitable breakdown of the boundaries they have both tried so hard to maintain. Chapter 4 focuses heavily on the immediate aftermath of Demi's decision to break up with Nico and the way this major shift alters her daily life on campus. Walking away from a relationship that lasted for years leaves her feeling a complex mix of intense relief and sudden loneliness. She has to adjust to the new reality of being single in a university environment where everyone seems to be part of a couple or heavily involved in the social scene. Demi spends a lot of time processing her emotions, leaning on her friends for support and trying to rediscover who she is outside of the identity of being someone's girlfriend. Despite the sadness of ending a chapter of her life, she feels a renewed sense of independence and control over her own destiny. Hunter enters the picture again when he learns about Demi's new relationship status through the campus grapevine. This news sends a jolt through his carefully constructed world, testing his resolve like never before. He knows that as long as she was unavailable, it was much easier to justify keeping his distance and adhering to his strict code of athletic discipline. Now that Demi is single, the temptation to pursue her becomes an everyday battle that distracts him during team meetings and study sessions. Hunter tries to channel his nervous energy entirely into his hockey training, pushing himself through grueling workouts to keep his mind occupied, but his teammates continue to notice that he is unusually quiet and preoccupied. The two main characters eventually run into each other at a quiet university coffee shop, a neutral location that allows for an honest and uninterrupted conversation. Hunter observes that Demi is holding up well, but can see the underlying exhaustion from the emotional breakup. Instead of using the opportunity to flirt or make a move, Hunter offers her a genuine listening ear and solid emotional support, acting as a true friend when she needs it most. They sit together for hours, talking about everything from family expectations to their fears about the future, completely forgetting about the social barriers that usually separate them. This shared time strengthens their bond, proving that their connection is built on a foundation of mutual respect and deep compatibility, rather than just physical attraction. By the end of the chapter, the dynamic between Hunter and Demi has evolved into something much more profound and harder to ignore. Demi leaves the encounter feeling deeply grateful for Hunter's unexpected sensitivity and kindness, realizing that he is vastly different from the superficial jock persona people project onto him. Hunter is left standing at a major crossroads, realizing that his feelings for Demi have grown to a point where his self-imposed celibacy and rigid rules feel more like a restriction than a benefit. The author uses this chapter to beautifully develop the emotional intimacy between the protagonists, setting the stage for a relationship that is rapidly becoming the most significant force in both of their lives. Chapter 5 explores the shifting boundaries between Hunter and Demi as they try to navigate a new arrangement as friends while the romantic chemistry between them continues to grow. Following their honest conversation at the coffee shop, they establish a regular routine of hanging out together to study and talk. For Demi, Hunter's presence becomes a comforting anchor as she continues to process the social fallout of her breakup with Nico. Her former boyfriend does not handle the split gracefully, creating awkward moments for her in their shared social circles. Hunter becomes her safe haven, providing a listening ear and a level of emotional maturity that she has not experienced in a very long time. For Hunter, this new friendship is both a source of immense joy and a grueling test of his self-control. Being around Demi constantly means he is exposed to her sharp wit, her laughter, and her natural beauty on a daily basis. He finds himself looking forward to their study sessions more than his hockey practices, which is a terrifying realization for someone who has always put his sport above everything else. Hunter is forced to constantly remind himself of his personal goal to stay focused on his career, knowing that a serious relationship could shift his priorities at a critical time when professional scouts are making their decisions. He works hard to keep his hands to himself and maintain a friendly, supportive boundary, even though every instinct is telling him to pull her closer. The tension reaches a peak when Demi offers to help Hunter with a difficult academic assignment for one of his classes. They spend the evening tucked away in a quiet corner of the university library, surrounded by stacks of books and the quiet hum of other students. As the hours pass and exhaustion sets in, the barrier between them begins to soften. A casual touch of their hands over a textbook sends a jolt of electricity through both of them, causing a sudden silence to fall over their conversation. Hunter looks at Demi and realizes that his strict rules are starting to feel entirely hollow compared to the genuine connection he shares with her. Demi looks back at him, feeling a powerful wave of attraction and realizing that Hunter has quickly become the center of her thoughts. The chapter ends with a mutual, unspoken acknowledgement that their attempt at a purely platonic friendship is rapidly becoming unsustainable. They manage to say goodnight and part ways without crossing any lines, but both are left deeply shaken by the intensity of the moment. Hunter returns to his apartment, staring at his hockey gear and wondering if he has the strength to keep his vow when the one person he wants is right in front of him. Demi lies awake in her bed, realizing that her feelings for Hunter have completely crossed the line from a simple crush into something much deeper and more permanent. The author masterfully uses this chapter to dial up the slow burn romantic tension, leaving the audience eager to see who will be the first to break under the pressure. Chapter 6 dives into the aftermath of that intense night in the library, focusing on how both Hunter and Demi try to overcompensate by putting up walls to protect their original plans. Hunter throws himself into his hockey training with a frantic energy that borders on obsession. He arrives early to the rink and stays late, pushing his body to the absolute limit during skating drills and weightlifting sessions. His head coach takes notice of this sudden burst of aggression and praises his work ethic, believing that Hunter is finally showing the singular focus required of a future professional captain. In reality, Hunter is just trying to exhaust himself so thoroughly that he will not have the mental energy to lie awake thinking about Demi or the way his hands felt when they brushed against hers. Demi is also attempting to create some distance by immersing herself back into her own social life and campus activities. She spends more time with her girlfriends, goes to campus events, and consciously avoids scheduling their usual study sessions. She tells herself that she needs to focus on being single and independent after her long relationship with Nico, rather than jumping straight into a complicated situation with a high-profile athlete who has made it clear he has strict rules about his lifestyle. Despite her best efforts to stay busy, she finds that her conversations with other people feel superficial compared to the deep, effortless banter she shares with Hunter, and she constantly spots his jersey number or hears his name mentioned around campus. The forced separation is cut short when the hockey team hosts a mandatory university mixer that Demi is also required to attend for her student department. The event is crowded and noisy, filled with students, faculty, and athletes celebrating a recent victory. When Hunter and Demi lock eyes across the crowded room, the distance they tried so hard to maintain over the past few days instantly evaporates. Hunter navigates through the crowd straight toward her, unable to resist the pull any longer. When they finally speak, they both drop the pretense of being too busy to see each other, admitting that the week felt strangely empty without their regular interactions. As the night progresses, they slide away from the loud main floor to find a quieter spot on the balcony overlooking the university grounds. The cool night air helps to ease the tension, but the underlying attraction remains stronger than ever. Hunter admits to Demi that his rules are becoming a torment because she is all he thinks about, while Demi confesses that she does not want to be a distraction that hurts his career. This mutual honesty brings them closer than a physical advance ever could, as they realize they both care deeply about protecting each other's well-being. The chapter closes with them making a silent agreement to stop running away from their connection, even if they still do not know exactly how to balance it with Hunter's athletic goals. Chapter 7 opens with Hunter and Demi trying to navigate the new reality of their agreement to stop running away from each other. They decide to spend a quiet Saturday afternoon together away from the campus crowds, choosing a hiking trail just outside the university town. This setting allows them to interact without the constant scrutiny of the hockey community or the awkward presence of Demi's ex-boyfriend. The change of scenery works wonders for their comfort level, and as they walk through the woods, the conversation flows effortlessly between deep personal histories and light-hearted teasing about their contrasting personalities. During the hike, Hunter opens up about the deeper roots of his strict discipline and his vow of celibacy. He reveals that it wasn't just a random choice, but a reaction to a past situation where personal drama nearly cost him a spot on a major scouting list. He explains the immense pressure he feels from his father, who treats Hunter's athletic career as a business enterprise rather than a passion. Demi listens with deep empathy, beginning to truly understand the heavy mental burden Hunter carries beneath his confident demeanor. In return, she shares her own fears about life after graduation and the pressure to find her true path now that her predictable future with Nico has been dismantled. The emotional intimacy built during the day translates into a shift in their physical dynamic on the way back. When Hunter drops Demi off at her apartment, the lingering tension that has been building over the past 6 chapters finally reaches a breaking point. Standing in the quiet hallway free from their self-imposed walls, Hunter steps closer and kisses her. The kiss is a release of all the restraint they have been practicing for weeks, confirming that their connection is far more than just a convenient campus friendship. It is an intense, passionate moment that changes the rules of their relationship completely. When the kiss ends, they're both left breathless and forced to confront what this means for their original goals. Hunter has officially broken his vow of strict isolation for the season, but instead of feeling regret, he feels a profound sense of clarity about wanting Demi in his life. Demi is left with the realization that her feelings for Hunter are completely real and that there is no turning back to her old, safe routine. The chapter ends with Hunter driving away with a racing heart, knowing his hockey season just became infinitely more complicated, while Demi steps into her apartment knowing her single life was short-lived because her heart now belongs to the team captain. Chapter 8 focuses on the immediate internal and social fallout of that definitive hallway kiss. The next morning, Hunter wakes up experiencing a complex wave of emotions, balancing the lingering thrill of the connection with a sudden rush of anxiety about his athletic commitments. He arrives at the university rink early for a mandatory team film session where the head coach is reviewing mistakes from the previous game. Hunter tries his best to focus on the video screen and the tactical breakdowns, but his mind keeps replaying the moment with Demi. His teammate and close friend notices his unusual quietness and pushes him for details, forcing Hunter to admit that he finally broke his strict rule of isolation, though he keeps Demi's identity a secret to protect her privacy. Demi is spending her Sunday dealing with her own set of adjustments as she tries to process how quickly her relationship with Hunter has evolved. She meets up with her closest friends for brunch, intending to keep the news to herself, but her friends quickly notice her glowing mood and press her for answers. Demi confesses to the kiss, admitting that while she feels incredibly happy, she's also terrified of the pressure that comes with dating the star player of the campus hockey team. She expresses her desire to keep their bond quiet for a while, wanting to build a real foundation with Hunter before dealing with the gossip, internet drama, and opinions of the broader student body. Later that evening, Hunter and Demi arrange to meet up at Hunter's apartment for a quiet night in. Away from any potential campus distractions, the atmosphere between them is initially filled with a nervous, electric tension as they acknowledge that the boundaries of their friendship have officially changed. However, as they sit down to order food and talk, the comfortable banter that defined their early interactions quickly returns. Hunter openly addresses his initial panic, reassuring Demi that he does not regret breaking his vow because she's worth the risk to his routine. This honesty allows Demi to let down her guard completely, and they spend the rest of the night talking about their favorite childhood memories and their personal quirks. The chapter draws to a close with the two characters establishing a secret, exclusive partnership built on their own terms. They share a quiet, affectionate moment on the couch, realizing that while the external world on campus is loud and demanding, they have managed to create a peaceful space together. Hunter realizes that having Demi in his life might actually make him a better, more balanced player rather than a distracted one, while Demi feels a deep sense of security she never experienced in her past. The author uses this chapter to solidify their transition into an official couple, leaving the audience to wonder how long they can successfully keep their romance hidden from the rest of the university. Chapter 9 centers on the first major test of Hunter and Demi's secret arrangement as the reality of the university hockey schedule starts to conflict with their personal time. The chapter begins with the team embarking on their first away game road trip of the month, forcing Hunter to spend several days traveling on a bus with his teammates. The distance creates an immediate shift in communication, as the late-night talks and physical closeness of the previous weeks are replaced by quick text messages and FaceTime calls in between team dinners and mandatory curfew checks. Hunter finds himself constantly checking his phone in the locker room, a habit that draws good-natured teasing from the other players who are convinced that the notoriously disciplined captain has finally fallen for someone. Back on campus, Demi is left to navigate her routine without Hunter's comforting presence, which forces her to confront the lingering presence of her ex-boyfriend. Nico corners her outside a lecture hall, attempting to play on their shared history to convince her that breaking up was a mistake made in the heat of the moment. He points out how difficult it is to completely detach their social lives after being together for so long. Demi handles the situation with remarkable poise, standing her ground and making it entirely clear that their relationship is permanently over. The interaction reinforces her confidence in her decision, but it also leaves her with a sense of emotional exhaustion that makes her miss Hunter's straightforward honesty even more. The narrative shifts to the hockey stadium in a neighboring city, where Hunter is dealing with a highly aggressive opposing team that is determined to throw him off his game. During the first 2 periods, Hunter plays with a reckless energy, trying to balance the stress of the road trip and his thoughts of Demi. During the second intermission, he takes a quiet moment away from the noise of the locker room to look at a supportive text message from Demi, which helps him regain his composure. He steps back onto the ice for the final period with a clear mind, executing a brilliant play that leads to the game-winning goal, proving to himself and his coaches that his emotional connection does not have to be a detriment to his athletic performance. The chapter concludes with the team returning to campus late at night after their victory. Instead of joining the rest of the players at the loud post-game celebration bar, Hunter goes straight to Demi's apartment, unable to wait until the morning to see her. When she opens the door, the relief of being back together is immediate, and they share a quiet, intense reunion that cements how important they have become to each other in such a short amount of time. Hunter admits that the win felt empty until he could share it with her, and Demi realizes that despite the challenges of his hectic schedule and campus gossip, she is entirely willing to fight for their relationship. Chapter 10 highlights a significant shift in the narrative as the bubble of secrecy surrounding Hunter and Demi's relationship begins to show its first major cracks. The chapter starts during a busy morning on campus where the student body is buzzing with gossip about the hockey team's recent away victory. Hunter is caught up in a whirlwind of media obligations for the university sports department, including interviews and promotional photo shoots. While he maintains his professional and confident demeanor for the cameras, he feels increasingly drained by the artificiality of campus celebrity life, finding himself counting down the minutes until he can return to the genuine comfort of his private time with Demi. Demi is spending the afternoon working on a major group project for her senior seminar, which forces her to collaborate with students who move in the same social circles as her ex-boyfriend. During a break in the library, she overhears a group of students discussing rumors about Hunter dating someone new, with several people trying to guess the identity of the mystery girl. The experience is highly uncomfortable for Demi, making her realize that maintaining a secret romance with the most high-profile athlete on campus is creating a constant undercurrent of anxiety in her daily social life. She begins to question whether hiding their bond is truly protecting them or if it is simply postponing an inevitable explosion of public scrutiny. Later that evening, the tension comes to a head when Hunter and Demi decide to risk going out for a quiet dinner at an off-campus restaurant, hoping that leaving the immediate university area will give them some privacy. However, their plan backfires when they encounter a group of Hunter's teammates who happen to be celebrating at the same venue. The moment is filled with immediate awkwardness as the players recognize Demi and immediately put the pieces together. Hunter steps up to handle the situation with protective maturity, introducing Demi as his girlfriend and making it clear that he expects his teammates to respect their privacy and keep the news out of the campus group chats. The chapter ends with a serious and emotional conversation back at Demi's apartment as they process the reality of their relationship being officially out in the open among the team. Hunter apologizes for the lack of privacy, but he reassures Demi that he is proud to be with her and is no longer interested in hiding his feelings just to appease his old rules. Demi admits that while the sudden exposure is intimidating, she feels a profound sense of relief that they no longer have to live in the shadows. The author uses this chapter to mark the end of their hidden honeymoon phase, forcing the couple to stand united as they prepare to face the full weight of public attention together. Chapter 11 explores the immediate social ripple effects across the university campus now that Hunter and Demi's relationship is officially public knowledge among the hockey team. The morning begins with a flurry of phone notifications for Demi as rumors quickly migrate from the locker room to the wider student body. Walking to her morning lectures feels entirely different as she notices people whispering and looking in her direction as she passes. The sudden transition from an ordinary student to the girlfriend of the star athlete brings an uncomfortable level of attention that tests her confidence. However, she holds her head high, refusing to let the campus gossip machine dictate how she feels about her choices. Hunter is dealing with his own set of challenges back at the athletic center, where his teammates waste no time giving him a hard time about his broken vow of celibacy. The locker room is filled with good-natured banter and teasing, but Hunter shuts it down with his characteristic calm authority, letting everyone know that his commitment to Demi is serious and not up for casual locker room jokes. His head coach also pulls him aside for a brief chat, not to scold him, but to remind him that with scouts attending the upcoming home games, he cannot afford any drop in his on-ice performance. The conversation reinforces the intense pressure Hunter is under to maintain his elite standard while navigating a high-profile romance. The plot thickens later in the day when Nico, Demi's ex-boyfriend, discovers who she's dating. Unable to handle the blow to his ego, Nico confronts Hunter outside the student union building in a desperate bid to provoke a reaction. He makes passive-aggressive comments about Demi's past, trying to plant seeds of doubt in Hunter's mind and make him look bad in front of other students. Hunter handles the situation with remarkable restraint and maturity, refusing to engage in a physical or verbal altercation that could jeopardize his captaincy or his hockey career. Instead, he delivers a cold, clear warning for Nico to stay away from Demi, demonstrating a protective instinct that shows just how much he values her peace of mind. The chapter draws to a close with Hunter and Demi meeting up at her apartment to decompress after an emotionally exhausting day. Hunter shares the interaction he had with Nico, apologizing that his campus status has brought this much drama into her life. Demi reassures him that he has nothing to apologize for, expressing her deep admiration for how he handled the confrontation with dignity. They share a quiet, affectionate moment together, realizing that the external noise of the university only serves to make their private bond stronger. The author uses this chapter to show that while the public exposure presents new hurdles, Hunter and Demi are fully prepared to face them as a united front. Chapter 12 focuses on the deep integration of Hunter and Demi into each other's separate worlds as they try to establish a sense of normalcy despite the ongoing campus attention. The chapter begins with Demi making her first official appearance at a major home hockey game as Hunter's partner. Sitting in the crowded stands, surrounded by screaming fans, student sections, and intense energy, she feels a mix of nervous anticipation and pride. When Hunter skates onto the ice, his focus is laser-sharp, but he takes a brief moment during the warm-ups to look up into the crowd and acknowledge her presence with a subtle nod. The game is highly physical and fast-paced, demanding every ounce of Hunter's athletic skill, and Demi finds herself fully invested in every play, cheering along with the rest of the stadium. Following a thrilling victory on the ice, the narrative shifts to the post-game gathering, which serves as Demi's true introduction to the broader hockey community, including the players' families and the inner circle of the team. Hunter introduces her to his friends with genuine pride, ensuring she feels included and comfortable amid the loud celebrations. During the event, Demi interacts with some of the other hockey players' partners who welcome her with open arms and share their own experiences of navigating the unique pressures of dating high-profile athletes. This interaction provides Demi with a much-needed sense of community and reassurance, helping her realize that she's not alone in dealing with the sudden shift in her social environment. Later that weekend, the couple takes a significant step forward when Hunter invites Demi to spend time with him in a completely relaxed setting, free from any athletic or academic obligations. They spend a lazy Sunday afternoon cooking a meal together at Hunter's apartment and sharing stories about their respective childhoods. Hunter opens up further about his relationship with his mother, who has always been a grounding force in his life compared to his demanding father. Demi appreciates this deep vulnerability, realizing that the more time she spends with Hunter, the more she sees the compassionate, thoughtful young man behind the fierce competitor persona. The chapter draws to a close on a warm and reassuring note, demonstrating how much their emotional foundation has solidified over a short period. As they sit together watching a movie late into the night, the external pressures of university gossip, scout expectations, and past relationships feel incredibly distant. Hunter expresses how grateful he is to have her as a source of peace in his hectic life, while Demi feels a profound sense of contentment knowing that breaking away from her predictable past was the best decision she could have made. The author uses this chapter to show that the couple has successfully moved past the initial drama of going public, settling into a mature and deeply supportive partnership. Chapter 13 shifts the focus to the academic side of university life, where the pressure of mid-semester exams and major projects begins to pile up for both protagonists. Hunter is facing a particularly difficult challenge, as he must maintain a specific grade point average to remain eligible for the hockey team, let alone keep his standing with the professional scouts who monitor his academic discipline. He finds himself stuck in a cycle of morning practices, afternoon lectures, and late-night study sessions that leave him physically and mentally exhausted. Demi, recognizing the immense stress he is under, steps in to help him organize his schedule, acting as a supportive partner and tutor to ensure he does not fall behind in his coursework. Their shared study sessions become a central part of their routine, providing a quiet space where they can connect amid their chaotic schedules. During one of these long nights at the university library, the conversation shifts from their textbooks to their long-term aspirations after graduation. Hunter admits that while his primary goal has always been the professional leagues, he occasionally worries about what his identity would be if an injury or unforeseen circumstance took hockey away from him. Tammy listens intently, encouraging him to see that his worth is not entirely tied to his athletic success, a perspective that Hunter finds incredibly freeing and rare in his sports-centered world. The academic stress is interrupted midweek by an unexpected visit from Hunter's father, who arrives on campus under the pretense of taking his son out for a quick dinner. The dinner quickly becomes an intense interrogation about Hunter's recent performances, his physical conditioning, and the rumors regarding his new relationship. Hunter's father expresses concern that dating Demi will become a distraction that compromises his focus just as the scouting season reaches its peak. Hunter handles the confrontation with remarkable composure, standing up for his relationship and firmly telling his father that Demi actually helps him maintain his balance and focus rather than taking away from it. The chapter concludes with Hunter returning to Demi's apartment after the difficult dinner, seeking comfort after the stressful interaction with his father. He opens up to her completely about the conversation, expressing his frustration with his father's constant demands but reaffirming his commitment to their partnership. Demi comforts him, assuring him that they will face whatever pressures come their way together. The author uses this chapter to deepen the emotional maturity of their relationship, showing that Hunter and Demi are capable of leaning on each other during moments of high stress and external judgment, making their bond even more resilient. Chapter 14 centers on the themes of trust and communication as Hunter and Demi face new challenges that test the stability of their relationship on campus. The chapter begins with the arrival of a major scouting event, drawing professional representatives from various national teams to the university to evaluate the top players. The pressure on the ice is higher than ever, and Hunter knows that every move he makes will be scrutinized by the sports executives sitting in the upper boxes. He spends his mornings in extra strategy meetings with the coaching staff, leaving him with little time to decompress or spend time with Demi before the big showcase. While Hunter is focused on his athletic career, Demi is forced to deal with an uncomfortable situation involving her past. Nico makes another appearance, this time attempting to use mutual friends to slide back into her social circle during a weekend campus event. Instead of letting it cause a misunderstanding, Demi is completely upfront with Hunter, calling him immediately after the encounter to explain exactly what happened. This open communication prevents any unnecessary drama or jealousy from taking root, demonstrating the deep level of mutual trust they have built over the past few weeks. Hunter deeply appreciates her honesty, noting that his past relationships were often plagued by mind games and hidden secrets. The narrative shifts to the showcase game, which turns out to be an incredibly intense and physical matchup. Hunter plays with a brilliant mixture of controlled aggression and tactical intelligence, leading his team effectively and scoring a crucial point in the final minutes. In the stands, Demi watches with pride, noticing how much more focused Hunter seems when he knows he has a stable, supportive partner waiting for him after the final whistle. The scouts take extensive notes, and after the game, the head coach confirms to Hunter that the feedback on his performance and his leadership skills was overwhelmingly positive. The chapter draws to a close with a quiet celebration at Hunter's apartment. Away from the noise of the arena and the opinions of the scout panels, Hunter and Demi share a warm, intimate evening together. Hunter expresses his gratitude for her grounding presence, admitting that knowing she's in his corner gives him the confidence to face the immense pressure of his career goals. Demi reflects on how much her life has improved since stepping away from her old routine, feeling completely secure in the strong foundation they are building together. Chapter 15 delves into the complex dynamics of family introduction as Demi takes a major step forward by introducing Hunter to her parents during a weekend visit to campus. The chapter begins with Demi feeling a wave of nervous anticipation and knowing that her parents were deeply accustomed to her ex-boyfriend Nico after years of history. She spends the morning tidying her apartment and discussing the upcoming lunch with Hunter, who treats the situation with his usual calm reassurance. Hunter understands the significance of this meeting and goes out of his way to dress well and prepare himself, wanting to make a flawless first impression and prove to her family that his intentions are entirely genuine. The lunch takes place at a quiet upscale restaurant near the university, and the initial atmosphere is thick with a polite but cautious tension. Demi's father is protective and initially skeptical of Hunter's high-profile status as a star athlete, asking pointed questions about his future career plans, his lifestyle, and how he manages to balance his intense hockey commitments with a serious relationship. Hunter handles the questioning with remarkable humility and maturity, speaking candidly about his dedication to his sport while making it absolutely clear that Demi is a central priority in his life, not a temporary distraction. His honest answers and respectful demeanor quickly break down her parents' defenses, shifting the tone of the afternoon into warm and engaging conversation. As the meal progresses, Demi's mother is particularly impressed by how attentive Hunter is toward Demi, noticing the small gestures of affection and the way he listens intently whenever she speaks. The conversation moves away from the pressures of campus life and hockey to lighter topics, including family traditions and shared values, allowing Demi's parents to see the grounded young man behind the athletic celebrity persona. By the time lunch concludes, it is evident that Hunter has successfully won over her family, with her father offering a warm handshake and an invitation for Hunter to visit them during the upcoming holiday break. The chapter ends back at Demi's apartment, where she and Hunter share a joyous and relieved moment together after her parents depart. Demi expresses her deep gratitude to Hunter for handling the pressure so beautifully, admitting that seeing him integrate so effortlessly with her family makes her feel even more secure about their future. Hunter holds her close, confessing that winning her parents' approval was just as important to him as impressing any professional scout on the ice. The author uses this chapter to solidify the long-term potential of their partnership, showing that their bond is successfully expanding beyond the isolated bubble of university life into the real world. Chapter 16 shifts back to the intense atmosphere of the university athletic department as the hockey team enters the crucial final stretch of the regular season. The pressure to secure a top spot in the upcoming playoffs means that practices are longer, more physically demanding, and emotionally charged. Hunter, as team captain, bears the brunt of this intensity, tasked with keeping his teammates motivated and focused despite their physical exhaustion. He spends extra hours watching game film and working with the younger players, which leaves him with very little energy by the time he finishes his daily commitments. Despite his demanding schedule, Hunter makes a conscious effort to ensure Demi does not feel neglected. He begins leaving small notes and surprises for her, showing that she remains at the forefront of his mind even when he is completely consumed by his athletic responsibilities. Demi deeply appreciates these gestures and returns the support by preparing meals for him and giving him a quiet space to unwind after grueling days at the rink. This mutual care allows them to maintain a strong connection, turning their limited time together into a valuable sanctuary from their external stresses. The peaceful routine is challenged midweek during a high-stakes team meeting when the head coach introduces a rigorous new curfew and lifestyle policy for the remainder of the season. The new rules are designed to eliminate any potential campus distractions, indirectly testing Hunter's ability to balance his leadership role with his personal relationship. Some of his teammates look to him to see how he will react, given his public relationship with Demi. Hunter addresses the team with absolute professionalism, reinforcing the importance of discipline for the sake of the championship while quietly resolving to find creative ways to maintain his commitment to Demi within the new boundaries. The chapter draws to a close with Hunter and Demi sitting together on her apartment balcony late at night, discussing the new constraints of the hockey season. Instead of allowing the restrictions to create distance, they use the conversation to reaffirm their trust and commitment to one another. Demi assures Hunter that she's fully prepared to adapt to the temporary schedule changes, emphasizing that their bond is strong enough to handle a few weeks of strict discipline. The author uses this chapter to demonstrate the couple's growing emotional maturity, proving that they can handle professional and lifestyle pressures without compromising the foundation of their relationship. Chapter 17 marks the literal and emotional midpoint of the narrative, focusing on a major university milestone as the campus prepares for the annual winter formal. This event is a massive tradition for the student body, and the anticipation creates a lively, festive atmosphere throughout the dorms and lecture halls. For Demi, the dance represents an opportunity to experience a normal college milestone with Hunter, completely separate from the sweaty reality of the hockey rink or the sterile environment of the library. Hunter, who usually skips these kinds of social obligations to maintain his training regimen, makes a deliberate choice to attend, wanting to give Demi a memorable night out and show the entire campus how proud he is to be her partner. The preparation for the evening brings a light-hearted, romantic energy to the chapter as the couple coordinates their efforts and shares playful banter about their expectations for the night. When Hunter arrives at Demi's apartment to pick her up, he is completely struck by her appearance, and the moment serves as a powerful reminder of how much his life has changed for the better since he allowed himself to break his rigid rules. They arrive at the beautifully decorated campus ballroom, which is filled with music, elegant lighting, and hundreds of their peers. Their arrival as a couple draws immediate attention, but unlike the uncomfortable scrutiny of the past, the atmosphere feels celebratory and validating. As the night progresses, Hunter and Demi find themselves fully enjoying the experience, dancing together and mingling with a mix of student leaders, athletes, and friends. Hunter's teammates are present, and their respectful, warm interactions with Demi show just how much she has been accepted into the inner circle of the hockey program. Even the lingering presence of old campus acquaintances fails to dampen the mood, as Demi feels completely secure standing beside a man who treats her with unconditional respect and adoration. The highlight of the evening comes when the crowd thins out and they share a slow, quiet dance under the dim lights of the ballroom, completely lost in each other's presence despite the loud world around them. The chapter concludes late that night back at Hunter's apartment, away from the music and the crowds. The elegance of the formal transitions into a deeply intimate and honest conversation about how much they have both grown since their accidental first meeting. Hunter confesses that he used to view his life as a strict, linear path where happiness had to be postponed for the sake of success, but Demi has shown him how to appreciate the present moment. Demi expresses a similar sentiment, realizing that true safety isn't found in a predictable routine, but in a partnership built on trust and genuine vulnerability. The author uses this chapter to provide a beautiful, emotionally resonant peek for the romance, leaving the couple more united than ever as they head into the challenges of the upcoming postseason. Chapter 18 introduces a sudden shift in tone as the high of the winter formal fades and the harsh reality of the postseason hockey schedule arrives. The atmosphere on campus turns frosty and intense as the team prepares for the first round of the playoffs. Hunter finds himself under an unprecedented amount of scrutiny, with regional sports reporters and national scouts arriving on campus to interview him about his leadership and his future career prospects. The physical toll of his daily schedule begins to show, and he finds himself running on pure adrenaline as he tries to be the perfect captain, a top-tier student, and a supportive partner. This heavy workload begins to create the first real strain on their daily communication. Because of mandatory team lockdowns at the campus hotel before the playoff games, Hunter and Demi are unable to see each other in person for days at a time. Demi stays busy with her own final presentations, but the sudden quietness in her routine brings back a faint, uncomfortable reminder of the isolation she used to feel in her past relationship. However, instead of letting doubt take over, she consciously chooses to handle the situation differently this time, choosing to send Hunter encouraging voice notes and playlist links to keep his spirits up during his grueling team isolation. The tension peaks during the opening game of the playoff series, a notoriously physical matchup against their biggest rival. Sitting in the front row of the student section, Demi watches with a racing heart as the game turns incredibly aggressive. In the second period, Hunter takes a massive blindside hit against the boards from an opposing defenseman, sending a shockwave through the entire arena. He stays down on the ice for several tense moments, holding his shoulder while the team trainers rush out to assist him. Demi feels a wave of panic, realizing just how much of herself she has invested in this man and how quickly everything can change in his high-stakes world. The chapter ends in the medical corridor of the university arena after the game concludes. Hunter manages to skate off the ice and finish the game, but he is left with a heavily bandaged shoulder and a severe case of exhaustion. When Demi is finally allowed back into the training area to see him, the tough athlete persona completely drops. He looks at her with absolute vulnerability, admitting how exhausted he is and how much he feared losing his future in that single moment on the ice. Demi steps in to hold him carefully, reassuring him that his worth to her has nothing to do with his physical perfection or his sports stats. The author uses this chapter to inject a dose of real-world adversity into the romance, proving that their bond is capable of handling the physical and emotional injuries that come with Hunter's career path. Chapter 19 focuses on Hunter's recovery process and the shifting dynamics of control as he is forced to sit out of practices due to his shoulder injury. For someone who has spent his entire life adhering to a strict, hyperactive routine, being sidelined is a massive psychological hurdle. He struggles with feelings of restlessness and uselessness as he watches his teammates prepare for the next playoff game from the benches. Demi steps in as his main source of comfort and distraction, helping him manage his physical therapy schedule and keeping him grounded when his anxiety about his future career prospects starts to take over. During this period of forced rest, Hunter spends more time at Demi's apartment, allowing him to experience her daily routine on a much deeper level. He watches her navigate her own senior projects and presentation preparations, gaining a newfound appreciation for her intelligence and academic drive. With hockey temporarily taking a backseat, they find themselves engaging in long, uninterrupted conversations about what a life together outside of the university ecosystem would look like. This period of vulnerability allows Hunter to realize that his identity is not solely defined by his athletic performance, a realization that brings him immense mental relief. The quiet routine is interrupted when the head coach calls Hunter in for a private meeting regarding his status for the upcoming championship game. The team managed to win their semi-final matchup without him, but they need their captain back on the ice for the final hurdle. The team doctor clears Hunter to play, but warns him that his shoulder is not at 100% and that playing comes with a genuine risk of re-injury. Hunter is left with a difficult choice between protecting his long-term health for the professional draft or risking it all to lead his college team to a championship victory. The chapter draws to a close with Hunter discussing his dilemma with Demi late at night. Instead of trying to make the decision for him or letting her fears dictate the conversation, Demi offers him unconditional support, telling him that she will back whatever choice he makes because she trusts his judgment completely. This unwavering loyalty gives Hunter the clarity he needs to make his final decision. The author uses this chapter to highlight the profound level of trust and emotional maturity the couple has achieved, setting the stage for a high-stakes finale where Hunter must balance his athletic passion with his future goals. Chapter 20 delivers the high-stakes climax of the story, focusing on the night of the championship game and the ultimate resolution of Hunter and Demi's journey. The atmosphere inside the university arena is electric, packed to maximum capacity with scouts, students, and media. Hunter steps back onto the ice as captain, his shoulder heavily taped but his mind completely focused. In the stands, Demi watches with a mix of intense nerves and pride, holding on to the trust they built during his recovery. The game is a grueling physical battle, but Hunter leads his team with precision, playing through the discomfort and delivering a brilliant assist in the final seconds to secure the championship victory for his school. The post-game celebration on the ice is a whirlwind of flying gloves, cheering fans, and flashing cameras. Amid the chaos of the trophy presentation, Hunter looks past the reporters and his celebrating teammates, searching the crowd until he locks eyes with Demi. He guides her onto the ice, completely cementing their relationship in front of the entire sports community and the scouts watching from the boxes. The moment is a powerful contrast to the beginning of the semester, proving that his connection with Demi didn't destroy his focus, it gave him the emotional stability to achieve his goals. Later that evening, after the noise of the stadium has finally faded, Hunter receives a phone call from a top-tier professional scout confirming that his performance and leadership throughout the season have secured his spot in the upcoming draft. The relief is immense, and the first person he shares the news with is Demi. Sitting together in the quiet of his apartment, surrounded by the medals and the championship gear, they realize that they have successfully navigated every social barrier, past relationship, and strict rule that stood in their way. The story concludes on a beautiful, forward-looking note as the couple stands on the balcony, looking out over the quiet campus. They acknowledge that while graduation is approaching and their futures will bring new cities and different pressures, the foundation they built is unbreakable. Hunter has found a life beyond his rigid rules, and Demi has found a partner who treats her with unconditional respect. The final moments capture them completely united, ready to take on the professional world together, no longer afraid of the boundaries because they know their love is strong enough to handle whatever comes next. Chapter 21 serves as an emotional epilogue, taking place a few weeks after the championship victory as graduation day officially arrives on campus. The university is filled with families, caps, and gowns, creating a reflective atmosphere that contrasts with the intense energy of the hockey season. Hunter and Demi spend the morning of the ceremony taking photos with their friends and families, who are now completely integrated into their shared life. Standing together in their graduation attire, they look back at the lecture halls, the library corners, and the athletic facilities, realizing how much they have both transformed as individuals since the start of the semester. During the graduation commencement, Hunter is called to the stage to receive a special Student Athlete Leadership Award, a moment that draws a massive round of applause from his teammates and coaches. As he delivers a brief acceptance speech, he speaks openly about the importance of balance, noting that true strength isn't about isolating oneself or following rigid, solitary rules, but about finding the courage to let people in and build a genuine support system. Demi watches from her seat with tears in her eyes, knowing that his words are a direct reflection of the journey they traveled together to get to this moment. Following the ceremony, the couple takes a quiet, final walk through the campus grounds as the afternoon sun begins to set. They return to the balcony where they made their silent agreement weeks ago, looking out over the emptying university paths. Hunter surprises Demi by presenting her with a small, beautifully packaged gift containing a custom bracelet engraved with the coordinates of the university coffee shop where they shared their first real conversation. He uses the moment to reassure her that even though his professional training camp starts in a new city next month, his commitment to her is permanent and unyielding. The narrative draws to its official close with Hunter and Demi packing the final boxes into his car, ready to drive toward their new chapter together. The heavy weight of past relationships, campus gossip, and strict athletic vows has completely dissolved, replaced by a profound sense of excitement for the future. As they drive past the university gates for the last time, they hold hands across the center console, completely secure in the knowledge that they are entering the real world as true equals and lifelong partners. Chapter 22 moves beyond the university gates, picking up a few months later as Hunter and Demi adjust to their new life in a bustling professional hockey city. The transition brings a fresh set of challenges, as Hunter is now a rookie fighting for ice time among seasoned veterans, and Demi is navigating the early stages of her own career in a brand new environment. Their days are filled with the unfamiliar rhythms of a new apartment, city maps, and demanding routines, but the foundation they built during their senior year remains their strongest asset. The focus of the chapter centers on Hunter's first official game in the professional league. The scale of the arena, the intensity of the media, and the sheer speed of the play are leagues beyond anything he experienced in college. During the morning skate, the pressure is palpable, and Hunter finds himself feeling the familiar grip of pre-game anxiety. However, instead of shutting the world out as he used to do, he speaks candidly with Demi over breakfast, drawing strength from her steady encouragement. Her presence in the stands that evening, wearing his new professional jersey, serves as his ultimate grounding force when he finally steps onto the ice. Hunter's debut is a test of resilience, as he has to earn every second of play against bigger, faster opponents. He plays a smart, disciplined game, making a critical defensive stop in the second period that earns a nod of approval from the head coach on the bench. When the final buzzer sounds, marking a hard-fought team victory, the relief is immense. The chapter highlights a beautiful parallel to his college days. Instead of getting lost in the post-game media frenzy, Hunter's first instinct is to find Demi in the family lounge celebrating the milestone not as a solitary athlete but as part of a team of two. The chapter, and the extended journey, concludes late that night in their new apartment overlooking the city skyline. As they sit together unpacking the last few boxes of college memories, they reflect on how far they have come from the rigid rules and secret meetings on campus. They acknowledge that the professional world will bring continuous pressure, travel schedules, and high expectations, but looking at each other, they know they have already won the most important victory. Holding hands as the city lights twinkle below, Hunter and Demi look toward the future with absolute certainty, fully prepared for every chapter yet to come. Chapter 23 steps ahead into the mid-season grind of Hunter's rookie year, focusing on the ultimate challenge of modern professional sports, the reality of a grueling travel schedule. With the team embarking on a 2-week road trip across the country, Hunter and Demi face their longest physical separation since their university days. The time zone differences and demanding back-to-back game schedules mean that their communication is reduced to quick FaceTime sessions in hotel lobbies and supportive texts sent late at night. This distance serves as a major test for their relationship, but instead of breeding insecurity, it highlights the immense trust they have cultivated. While Hunter is away dealing with media scrutiny and intense on-ice battles, Demi is focusing entirely on her own career progression in the city. She lands a major presentation at her new marketing firm, a milestone that requires her to pitch a campaign to senior executives. Without Hunter there to celebrate with her in person, she finds strength in the voice notes he sends from the team bus, proving that he is cheering for her success just as loudly as she cheers for his. Her presentation is a resounding success, establishing her independence and professional identity separate from the high-profile world of professional hockey. On the road, Hunter faces a difficult game against a rival team known for targeting rookie players. During a particularly tense shift, he takes a heavy hit that tests his recovering shoulder, causing a collective intake of breath from the coaching staff. Remembering the lessons he learned from Demi about pacing himself and playing smart rather than reckless, Hunter adjusts his strategy, using his quick passing and tactical intelligence to outmaneuver the defense instead of engaging in physical retaliation. He finishes the game healthy, contributing a vital assist that secures an away game victory and earns him praise from the team veterans. The chapter draws to a close with Hunter's late-night return to their shared apartment after the long road trip. The reunion is quiet and deeply comforting, stripping away the glamorous armor of the professional sports world. As they sit on the living room floor eating a late meal together, they share the details of their respective victories from the past 2 weeks. Looking at the life they are actively building together, Hunter and Demi realize that their partnership doesn't just survive the distance, it thrives within it, making them feel completely connected no longer how many miles stand between them. Chapter 24 brings the narrative to the edge of the professional off-season, focusing on the celebration of a major personal milestone, Hunter's 23rd birthday. With the intense pressure of his rookie year winding down, Demi decides to organize a small, intimate gathering at their apartment, inviting a few close friends from their university days along with a couple of Hunter's new teammates. The event serves as a beautiful collision of their past and present worlds, showing just how seamlessly they have transitioned into this new phase of adulthood together. The preparation for the evening highlights the playful, romantic domesticity that has come to define their life in the city. Hunter tries to sneak glimpses of the cake Demi is baking, leading to light-hearted kitchen banter and shared laughter that completely strips away the serious, hyper-focused demeanor he wears at the rink. When their college friends arrive, the apartment fills with nostalgic stories from their senior year, reminding everyone of the days when Hunter and Demi were desperately trying to keep their romance a secret from the campus gossip pages. Seeing Hunter laugh freely with his old friends gives Demi a deep sense of pride, knowing she helped him break out of the rigid isolation that used to govern his life. During the party, one of the veteran players on the team pulls Demi aside to express his respect for the grounding influence she has on Hunter. He mentions that it is incredibly rare for a rookie to handle the intense media scrutiny and physical demands of the professional league with so much maturity, crediting their stable relationship as the anchor that kept Hunter focused all season. This validation reinforces to Demi that stepping into Hunter's high-profile world was worth every bit of initial anxiety, as their partnership has only made them both stronger and more resilient. The chapter concludes late at night after the guests have departed and the apartment has grown quiet. As they sit together on the balcony looking out over the city lights, Demi presents Hunter with his actual birthday gift, a beautifully framed collection of photographs documenting their journey from the university championship ice to their first day moving into the city apartment. Hunter is deeply moved by the gesture, holding her close and confessing that a year ago, he couldn't have imagined a life this full, or a future this bright. The author uses this chapter to show a perfect moment of peace and gratitude, leaving the couple completely content in the life they have built as they look forward to their first professional off-season together. Chapter 25 serves as the grand finale of the extended story, taking place during the absolute height of the professional hockey off-season. With the grueling demands of the training schedule and media obligations paused for the summer, Hunter and Demi escape the bustling city for a much-needed vacation to a quiet, sun-drenched coastal town. The setting is a deliberate contrast to the icy rinks and crowded campus libraries of their past, offering them a peaceful sanctuary where they can simply exist as an ordinary couple, free from public scrutiny and professional pressure. The days are filled with effortless or relaxed routines that showcase how deeply intertwined their lives have become. They spend their mornings walking along the shoreline and their afternoons exploring local markets, completely detached from the hyper-focused discipline that used to rule Hunter's life. During a quiet afternoon on the beach, Hunter reflects on how his definition of success has completely changed. He admits to Demi that while lifting the championship trophy was an unforgettable milestone, The true victory was learning how to share his life, his vulnerabilities, and his triumphs with someone who loves him for exactly who he is outside of his sports jersey. The emotional peak of the chapter arrives on their final evening of the trip. Hunter arranges a private dinner on a secluded cliffside overlooking the ocean as the sun begins to set. The atmosphere is charged with a deep, nostalgic warmth as they look back at the incredible journey they have shared. From a hidden hallway kiss on a chaotic university campus to navigating the intense pressures of a professional rookie season. Standing together against the backdrop of the fading light, Hunter takes Demi's hands and expresses his unwavering certainty about their future, reaffirming that no matter where his hockey career takes them, she will always be his ultimate home and his highest priority. The story draws to its permanent and beautiful close with the couple walking hand in hand back along the dark beach, the sound of the ocean waves echoing beside them. The boundaries, the secrets and the fears that once threatened to keep them apart have completely vanished, leaving behind an unbreakable bond built on absolute trust, mutual respect, and unconditional love. As they look toward the horizon, ready to return to the city and face the challenges of the upcoming hockey season, they do so with absolute confidence, knowing that they have already built a love story that will last a lifetime. Chapter 26 opens a new ledger in their journey, shifting the timeline forward to the commencement of Hunter's second year in the professional league, widely known in the sports world as the dreaded sophomore season. The easy, sun-drenched tranquility of the summer vacation quickly fades as the team reports back for a brutal training camp. Unlike his rookie year, where he was an unknown variable playing without expectations, Hunter now faces the heavy pressure of proving that his phenomenal debut season was not a fluke. The media scrutiny intensifies, and the coaching staff demands an even higher level of tactical execution from him on the ice. This seasonal shift coincides with a major professional milestone for Demi, who receives a significant promotion at her marketing firm. She's given the responsibility of leading a high-profile national campaign, a role that drastically increases her workload, meetings, and daily stress levels. For the first time in their relationship, both partners are simultaneously pushed to their absolute professional limits. Their apartment, which had always been a sanctuary of quiet decompression, temporarily turns into a dual command center filled with hockey playbooks and marketing spreadsheets, testing their ability to maintain their emotional connection when their individual energies are completely depleted. The climax of the chapter occurs during an intense home opener game against the reigning league champions. Hunter is playing under immense strain, trying to live up to the expectations of the fans and the scouts in attendance. During the second period, after making a minor defensive error that leads to an opposing goal, Hunter begins to spiral into his old collegiate habits of hyperfixation and mental isolation on the bench. However, during the intermission, he takes a moment to look toward the executive seating area where Demi's firm is hosting a corporate client. Seeing her manage her high-stakes environment with grace gives him a sudden wave of perspective, reminding him that pressure is a privilege they are both navigating together. He returns to the ice for the final period with a completely reset mindset, playing with the calm maturity that defined his championship run. He orchestrates a brilliant defensive counterplay in the final minutes, securing a hard-fought victory for his team. The chapter concludes late that night back at their apartment, where the armor of their professional lives is finally set aside. As they help each other pack their bags for upcoming corporate and team road trips, they share a quiet, grounded moment of realization. They acknowledge that while life has become infinitely busier and more demanding, the strength of their partnership lies in their ability to inspire each other's independence while remaining each other's absolute safe harbor. Chapter 27 focuses on the inevitable logistical chaos that arises when two high-powered careers collide head-on. With Demi's national marketing campaign launching across multiple cities and Hunter's team entering a heavy, mid-season stretch of back-to-back games, their shared calendar becomes a complex puzzle of flights, hotel stays, and conflicting time zones. The quiet routines they established in their apartment are temporarily replaced by rushed phone calls from airport terminals and quick text updates between Hunter's practices and Demi's client dinners. The emotional core of the chapter centers on a weekend where their schedules happen to bring them to the exact same city by pure coincidence. Hunter's team is in Chicago for a high-stakes away series, while Demi is there to oversee a major promotional event for her firm. Despite being in the same metropolitan area, the demands of their respective responsibilities make meeting up nearly impossible. Hunter is bound by strict team curfews and mandatory meetings, while Demi is tied to late-night corporate receptions, highlighting the reality that physical proximity does not always guarantee closeness in the professional world. Refusing to let the opportunity slip away, they coordinate a brief 30-minute window on a Sunday morning. Hunter slips away from the team hotel during a designated free hour, meeting Demi at a quiet, uncrowded coffee shop just blocks away from her event venue. The meeting is short and devoid of any luxury, but the immediate relief of being in each other's presence is profound. They use the time not to talk about the pressures of hockey or marketing, but to simply check in on each other's well-being, proving that their bond remains completely unaffected by the frantic pace of their lives. The chapter draws to a close as they say their goodbyes and return to their respective professional obligations. As Hunter boards the team bus and Demi heads into her final corporate presentation, they both carry a renewed sense of energy and focus. The author uses this chapter to demonstrate that true partnership in the adult world isn't about constant physical presence, but about the deliberate, hard-fought choices made to support each other from afar, leaving them more confident than ever in their shared future. Chapter 28 centers on the theme of vulnerability and the breaking point that comes with sustained professional exhaustion. The frantic pace of the past few weeks finally catches up to them as Demi's campaign wraps up and Hunter's team hits a standard mid-season slump. The physical and mental toll of carrying such heavy individual burdens creates an underlying layer of tension in their apartment, marking the first time their fatigue translates into quiet, strained interactions rather than easy comfort. The turning point occurs on a rainy Tuesday evening when Hunter returns home after a frustrating loss on the ice, only to find Demi completely overwhelmed by a late-night corporate crisis on her laptop. An otherwise minor misunderstanding about a forgotten dinner plan escalates into their first real argument since their university days. The disagreement isn't born out of anger or a lack of love, but out of sheer burnout, forcing them to confront the reality that they have been giving all their energy to their careers and leaving only the remnants for each other. Instead of letting the tension linger or retreating into isolation, Hunter takes a step back and recognizes the pattern. He shuts his playbook, walks over to Demi's desk, and gently closes her laptop, insisting that they both take a mandatory pause from the outside world. They spend the rest of the night sitting on the living room floor, dropping their professional armor completely and admitting how exhausted, stressed, and disconnected they have felt amidst the corporate and athletic chaos. This raw honesty acts as a massive emotional release, clearing the air and allowing them to realign their priorities. The chapter concludes the following morning with a renewed sense of clarity and balance. They establish a new, non-negotiable rule for their household, a daily tech-free hour where hockey and marketing are completely banned from conversation. As Hunter leaves for the practice rink and Demi sits down at her desk, the heavy air of exhaustion is gone, replaced by the familiar warmth of their partnership. The author uses this chapter to show that even the strongest relationships encounter moments of friction, but true maturity lies in the ability to communicate through the fatigue and protect the sanctuary they built together. Chapter 29 brings a shift towards stability and community integration as Hunter and Demi focus on planting deeper roots in their new city. With the newly established household rules providing a healthy balance to their demanding schedules, the atmosphere in their apartment transforms into one of genuine comfort and growth. Recognizing that they have been living somewhat isolated lives since the move, Demi decides it is time to fully engage with their surrounding community, initiating a weekend gathering that brings together a unique blend of their professional worlds. The central event of the chapter is a casual charity dinner hosted at a local venue, which Demi organizes on behalf of her marketing firm to benefit a youth sports foundation. Hunter fully embraces the opportunity to support her project, leveraging his growing platform as a professional athlete to secure donations and encourage attendance from several of his teammates and coaching staff. The evening turns into a beautiful celebration of collaboration, showcasing how effectively their individual career paths can intersect to create a positive impact on the community around them. During the event, Hunter watches Demi manage the complex logistics of the evening with a deep sense of admiration, recognizing the incredible professional powerhouse she has become. At the same time, Demi notes how effortlessly Hunter interacts with the young, aspiring athletes in attendance, offering them genuine advice about teamwork and discipline that goes far beyond the mechanics of hockey. The event is a massive success, raising significant funds for the foundation and solidifying the couple's reputation as a respected, community-minded partnership in the city. The chapter draws to a close late that night as they return home, exhausted but deeply fulfilled by the success of the evening. Sitting together on the living room floor, surrounded by the event's leftover floral arrangements and congratulatory notes, they reflect on how much their definition of a shared life has expanded. They are no longer just surviving the pressures of adulthood or trying to protect their relationship from external chaos. Instead, they're actively building a legacy together, proving that their bond is strong enough to not only support each other but to uplift the community they now call home. Chapter 30 serves as the monumental conclusion to this extended arc of Hunter and Demi's story, bringing their journey of professional growth, personal sacrifice, and mutual devotion to a definitive, heart-warming milestone. The chapter opens during the final week of Hunter's sophomore hockey season, where his team has officially clinched a spot in the playoffs. However, the true focus of the chapter isn't on the ice, but on a long-awaited milestone that Hunter has been meticulously planning in secret for months. With the off-season just around the corner and their careers finally entering a harmonious rhythm, Hunter decides that there is no longer any reason to wait for the future they have already built. He coordinates with Demi's closest friends and family, arranging for them to fly into the city under the guise of attending the final home game of the regular season. Demi, completely consumed by the successful wrap-up of her national campaign, remains entirely oblivious to the undercurrent of excitement building around her. The emotional climax unfolds the night after the final game. Instead of a grand public spectacle that would attract the sports media, Hunter chooses a setting that reflects the true, intimate nature of their bond. He takes Demi to the rooftop of their apartment building, which he has transformed with soft lighting and simple decorations that pay homage to their journey, including a subtle nod to the university balcony where they first promised to face the world together. Standing beneath the city skyline, Hunter speaks from the heart, thanking Demi for being his anchor, his sanctuary, and his greatest victory. He drops to one knee and proposes, asking her to be his partner for life, to which a deeply moved Demi joyfully says yes. The story draws to its permanent, beautiful resolution as their families and friends emerge from the rooftop entryway to celebrate the moment with them. Looking out over the illuminated city that once felt so unfamiliar and daunting, Hunter and Demi realize they are no longer just navigating the chapters of life as they come. Together, they have written a profound story of resilience, breaking through every rigid rule and professional barrier to create an unbreakable foundation. As they hold each other close amidst the laughter and congratulations of their loved ones, they look toward the horizon with absolute peace, fully prepared for a lifetime of shared chapters. Chapter 31 opens a brand new phase of their lives, focusing on the immediate and exciting aftermath of the rooftop engagement. The apartment is filled with a vibrant energy as Hunter and Demi balance the early stages of wedding planning with the high-stakes reality of the hockey postseason. Phone calls to vendors and venue viewings are slotted into their already packed schedules, turning their non-negotiable tech-free hour into a sacred space where they can disconnect from both the sports media and the wedding industry chaos to simply enjoy being fiancés. The narrative spotlight shifts to the opening round of the playoffs, where Hunter's team faces a fiercely competitive series against their primary division rivals. The atmosphere in the professional arenas is more intense than anything Hunter experienced during his rookie year, with every hit, pass, and strategic decision amplified tenfold. Now wearing the title of an engaged man, Hunter plays with an elevated level of maturity and focus that draws praise from national sports commentators, who note that his leadership on the ice has never been more grounded or composed. Meanwhile, Demi faces her own unique set of challenges as she navigates the public side of being engaged to a high-profile athlete. Her social media and professional circles take notice of the engagement, bringing an influx of attention that could easily become a distraction at her marketing firm. Instead of letting the noise disrupt her momentum, Demi uses her professional expertise to establish clear boundaries, ensuring that her career achievements remain defined by her exceptional campaign results, rather than her personal life. Her ability to command respect in the boardroom mirrors Hunter's authority on the ice, highlighting how much they have grown as individuals. The chapter draws to a close on a triumphant note as Hunter's team secures a critical Game 7 victory on home ice, advancing them to the next round of the playoffs. Amid the roaring cheers of the stadium and the celebratory locker room energy, Hunter makes his way to the family lounge to find Demi waiting for him. The chapter concludes with a quiet, grounding moment between the two of them in the empty arena hallway. Looking at the engagement ring on her finger and the playoff sweat on his jersey, they realize that while the stakes in their lives have never been higher, their ability to conquer the pressure together remains completely effortless. Chapter 32 plunges the couple into the intense heart of the postseason as Hunter's team advances to the conference finals. The physical and emotional demands of the playoffs reach an all-time high, with games scheduled every other night and mandatory team travel keeping Hunter on a strict, isolating routine. The luxury of regular wedding planning is temporarily paused, and their communication once again relies on quick, late-night phone calls where they exchange reassurance and love amidst their exhausting schedules. The narrative shifts to focus on a high-stakes away game that turns incredibly hostile. The opposing team plays an aggressive physical style of hockey specifically designed to wear down the star players, and Hunter takes several heavy hits throughout the first 2 periods. Sitting thousands of miles away in their city apartment, Demi watches the broadcast with her heart in her throat, feeling the familiar anxiety that comes with loving a professional athlete. During a tense play in the 3rd period, Hunter is pushed awkwardly into the boards, and the television cameras capture him clutching his taped shoulder as he skates slowly to the bench. Instead of panicking or letting fear dictate her actions, Demi draws on the resilience they have developed over the years. She refuses to let old insecurities creep in, knowing that Hunter is highly capable of managing his body and his health. Back in the arena, Hunter works with the team trainers during the intermission, utilizing the mental conditioning techniques he learned during his recovery phases to stay calm and focused. He returns to the ice for the final minutes of the game, choosing to play smarter rather than harder, using his precise positioning to set up the game-winning goal without putting himself in further physical jeopardy. The chapter concludes late that night when Hunter calls Demi from the team bus on the way to the airport. Though his body is sore and his voice is thick with exhaustion, his first priority is to reassure her that the shoulder is fine and that the team is officially one step closer to the ultimate championship round. Demi listens with a mixture of relief and immense pride, realizing that the chaotic pressure of the playoffs no longer threatens to destabilize their relationship. Instead, the adversity only highlights how unbreakable their partnership has truly become as they stand on the precipice of their biggest professional and personal milestones. Chapter 33 transitions from the grueling intensity of the conference finals straight into the legendary whirlwind of the professional championship series. The entire city is painted in the team colors, and the media attention reaching the apartment is unprecedented. Hunter is now facing the biggest athletic hurdle of his career, a best-of-7 series that will define his professional legacy. Despite the massive stakes, the atmosphere inside their home remains remarkably steady, serving as the ultimate contrast to the chaotic energy of the sports world outside. The core of the chapter focuses on the night of Game 6, with Hunter's team holding a narrow lead in the series. The arena is a deafening wall of sound as Demi takes her seat, her hands trembling slightly despite her best efforts to remain calm. The game is a masterclass in professional sports tension, with both teams trading goals and playing with a desperate, exhausting level of physicality. Hunter plays the game of his life, orchestrating the offense with a level of calm authority that leaves the commentators marveling at his composure under pressure. In the final minute of the 3rd period, with the opposing team pulling their goaltender for an extra attacker, Hunter blocks a powerful shot with his shin guard, forcing a turnover. He skates past the blue line and passes the puck to his teammate, who slides it into the empty net to secure the ultimate championship victory. The arena explodes as the buzzer sounds, and Hunter is instantly swarmed by his teammates in a chaotic, ecstatic celebration on the ice. Amidst the flying helmets and gloves, Hunter looks up into the stands, finding Demi's eyes instantly through the falling confetti. The chapter and the historic season concludes in the early hours of the morning back at their apartment. The massive championship trophy sits temporarily on their kitchen island, gleaming under the modern light fixtures. Stripped of his heavy gear and media armor, Hunter sits on the floor with Demi, his head resting against her shoulder as the sheer magnitude of the achievement sinks in. He looks at the trophy, then looks up at her, softly admitting that winning the title means everything, but coming home to her is the real prize. Holding each other in the quiet safety of their home, they realize they have officially conquered the professional world, leaving them ready to focus entirely on the beautiful future that awaits them. Chapter 34 shifts the focus beautifully from the icy adrenaline of the arena to the warm, sun-kissed tranquility of the professional off-season. With the championship parade concluded and the media storm finally quieted down, Hunter and Demi are able to turn their full, undivided attention to the final preparations for their upcoming wedding. The kitchen island, which had just weeks ago held a massive silver hockey trophy, is now covered in floral arrangements, seating charts, and linen samples, marking a joyful transition into the next chapter of their shared life. The heart of the chapter centers on a weekend trip back to their old university campus, where they have decided to host their intimate ceremony. Walking through the campus gates as accomplished professionals and an engaged couple brings a profound sense of nostalgia. They revisit the quiet library corners where they used to hide from campus gossip, and the balcony where they first promised to handle the pressures of Hunter's career together. Standing on the empty university quad, Demi notes how much they have both changed, realizing that the rigid rules that once kept them isolated have completely evolved into a foundation of unconditional support. While finalizing details with the campus venue coordinators, Hunter surprises Demi by revealing that he has arranged a special addition to the rehearsal dinner. He has invited not only their families and college friends, but also the Youth Sports Foundation leaders and the veteran teammates who supported them during their transition to the professional city. This thoughtful gesture highlights how deeply integrated their worlds have become, proving that their relationship is no longer a secret to be protected, but a beautiful partnership to be celebrated by everyone who loves them. The chapter draws to a close on the eve of the wedding day. Sitting together on the steps of the university chapel as the summer sun sets over the campus buildings, the quiet is deeply comforting. Hunter reaches over to take Demi's hand, looking out at the paths where their journey first began. They reflect on the long road they traveled to get here, through collegiate rules, rookie injuries, grueling road trips, and championship pressure. Holding each other close in the fading light, the final remnants of past anxieties completely wash away, leaving them in a state of absolute peace as they prepare to say their vows the following morning. Chapter 35 delivers the highly anticipated, deeply emotional climax of their personal journey, the wedding day. The morning breaks over the university town with a clear, bright sky, casting a warm golden light over the stone chapel where Hunter and Demi are set to exchange their vows. Inside the dressing rooms, the atmosphere is a beautiful blend of laughter and nostalgia as college friends and professional teammates gather to celebrate the couple. There are no rigid rules or media protocols today. The focus is entirely on the love and mutual respect that saved them both from isolation. The emotional peak of the chapter arrives when the chapel doors open and Demi steps onto the aisle. Hunter stands at the altar, completely stripped of his tough athlete persona, his eyes shining with absolute vulnerability as he watches her walk toward him. When they take each other's hands, the outside world completely fades away. Instead of traditional recited promises, they exchange vows they wrote themselves, speaking openly about the journey that brought them here. Hunter vows to always be her safe harbor against the chaos of his career, while Demi promises to remain his steady anchor, reminding him of his worth beyond the sports statistics. Following the ceremony, the reception takes place under a beautifully lit tent on the university grounds, overlooking the fields where their story first took root. The celebration is filled with heartfelt speeches from family members, light-hearted teasing from Hunter's teammates, and a profound sense of unity. During their first dance as husband and wife, Hunter holds Demi close, whispering how incredible it feels to finally have her completely by his side, carrying his name into the future they fought so hard to build. The story draws to its ultimate permanent conclusion late that night. Slipping away from the loud music and cheering guests, Hunter and Demi take a final, quiet walk to the balcony where they made their first silent agreement seasons ago. Looking out over the dark campus wrapped in the cool night air, they realize that every boundary, injury, and long-distance road trip was simply preparation for the unbreakable bond they share now. Holding each other tight, with their wedding rings catching the moonlight, they look toward the horizon with total peace and absolute certainty, ready to step into the rest of their lives together as true equals and lifelong partners. Chapter 36 of the play moves past the heavy team drama and dives straight into the comedic high-stakes chaos of a classic Briar University group hangout, focusing on the hilarious aftermath of Hunter and Demi finally being official to the rest of the world. Now that Hunter's strict celibacy pact is officially a thing of the past and Demi is completely single, they no longer have to hide their massive chemistry. However, navigating a relationship when your entire friend group is nosy, loud, and constantly teasing you presents its own unique brand of challenge. The narrative shifts to a massive weekend party at the hockey house, which quickly turns into a trial by fire for the new couple. Hunter's teammate Hollis takes it upon himself to be the ultimate source of relentless teasing, making constant and loud jokes about Hunter finally breaking his rules and retiring from the celibacy club. While Hunter tries to maintain his serious, stoic team captain exterior, his ears turn bright red, which only fuels the group's amusement. Demi, armed with her usual sharp wit and quick tongue, doesn't back down for a second. She matches Hollis's banter beat for beat, earning the immediate, roaring respect of the entire hockey team and proving she fits into Hunter's chaotic world perfectly. Amidst the loud music and drinking games, the emotional core of the chapter focuses on a quiet, stolen moment between Hunter and Demi in the crowded kitchen. Away from the prying eyes of their friends, the teasing completely fades away, replaced by the genuine, grounding warmth that built their connection in the first place. Hunter admits to Demi that despite the heavy public pressure of taking over the captaincy and the chaotic noise of the party, standing next to her is the first time all semester he has felt completely relaxed. Demi reassures him that they are handling the transition as a team, solidifying the idea that they are no longer just temporary rebounds or convenient project partners. The chapter draws to a close late that night as the party finally begins to wind down. As they head back to Hunter's room, stepping over the remnants of the campus celebration, they share a quiet laugh about the absolute circus that is their friend group. The author uses this chapter to beautifully balance the laugh-out-loud humor of the Briar U universe with the genuine, mature growth of Hunter and Demi's relationship, leaving them more unified than ever as they prepare to face the rest of the competitive hockey season together. Chapter 37 shifts to Demi's perspective, capturing the vulnerability that comes with transitioning from an intense, year-long friendship into a full-blown romantic relationship. Following the high-energy hockey party where their relationship was put on full display, Demi finds herself dealing with a quiet morning-after realization. While she's incredibly happy to finally be with Hunter without any secrets or celibacy rules holding them back, a small part of her still worries about the shifting dynamics. Their friendship had been her absolute safe harbor while recovering from her toxic ex-boyfriend, and she feels a natural, protective instinct over making sure that the deep emotional bond they built doesn't get eclipsed by the intense physical chemistry now running the show. This internal reflection is interrupted by a mandatory meeting for their ongoing psychology project, forcing them to pivot from romantic partners back into academic teammates. When Hunter arrives at her apartment, the air is thick with tension, but not the awkward kind. Hunter is entirely attuned to her mood shifts. He notices her slight hesitation and immediately addresses it with the calm, straightforward honesty that defined their early days. Instead of brushing her anxieties aside, he reassures her that being her boyfriend doesn't mean they stop being best friends. He emphasizes that the foundation they built over late-night drives, shared deep conversations and study sessions is exactly what makes their relationship built to last. With the emotional air cleared, the second half of the chapter details a highly anticipated, light-hearted milestone. Hunter introduces Demi to his beloved, chaotic dog, Pablo. Up until this point, Demi had only heard hilarious horror stories about the giant, undisciplined pup, but meeting him in person turns into a comedic whirlwind. Pablo instantly takes a liking to Demi, knocking her onto the couch with over-enthusiastic greetings and covering her in sloppy kisses. Watching the usually serious, hyper-disciplined hockey captain desperately trying and failing to command his goofy dog dissolves the remaining bits of Demi's lingering tension into fits of genuine laughter. The chapter concludes on a warm, deeply comforting note as the chaos settles down. Hunter, Demi, and a finally calm Pablo pile onto the living room sofa to relax. As Demi rests her head against Hunter's shoulder, watching him quietly stroke the dog's fur, she feels a profound wave of peace wash over her. The fears of losing their friendship completely melt away, replaced by the realization that they are actively building something much bigger and sweeter together. The author uses this chapter to ground the romance, showing that the real magic of their bond isn't just the flashy drama of the university sports world, but these quiet, domestic moments of absolute safety and acceptance. Chapter 38 turns the focus back onto the high-stakes world of Briar University hockey as the team approaches the critical final stretch of the regular season. With Hunter and Demi's relationship now completely steady and accepted by their friends, the primary pressure shifts back to the ice. Hunter is feeling the immense weight of his role as captain. The team has hit a minor late-season slump, and the coaching staff is leaning heavily on him to rally the players, fix the locker room chemistry, and secure a definitive spot in the playoffs. The heart of the chapter takes place during a grueling, intensely physical home game against one of Briar's biggest conference rivals. The energy in the arena is electric but incredibly tense as the opposing team plays a frustratingly aggressive style designed to throw Hunter off his game. Throughout the first two periods, Hunter takes several hard hits and struggles to find his rhythm, forcing him to fight against his old instinct to internalize the frustration and isolate himself. During the second intermission, remembering Demi's constant reminders that he doesn't have to carry the weight of the entire world on his own shoulders, he shifts his strategy. Instead of trying to force a solo heroic play, he delivers a grounded, motivating speech to his teammates and focuses on executing crisp, selfless passing plays. The climax of the game unfolds in the final minutes of the third period, With the score tied, Hunter uses his elite vision to orchestrate a beautiful sequence, drawing the opposing defense toward him before sliding a perfect no-look pass to Hollis, who buries the puck into the back of the net for the game-winning goal. The stadium explodes in celebration, and the victory officially clinches Briar's spot in the postseason tournament, lifting a massive weight off the entire roster. The chapter draws to a close late that night back at the apartment. Hunter is physically exhausted, bruised from the game, but emotionally lighter than he has been in weeks. Demi is waiting for him with an ice pack and a homemade dinner, creating the ultimate sanctuary away from the roaring sports media and team politics. As they sit together on the living room floor, Hunter admits how much her steady presence has changed his approach to the game, realizing that having a safe place to land at the end of the night is exactly what makes him a better leader on the ice. Chapter 39 focuses on the escalating external pressures as Briar University prepares for the first official round of the playoffs. The campus is buzzing with high-stakes sports energy, and the local hockey media turns its full spotlight onto Hunter, dissecting his performance, his leadership style, and his journey from a self-imposed celibacy pact to his current role as the steady captain of a championship contending team. The core of the chapter revolves around a mandatory, high-profile press conference that Hunter has to navigate before the postseason begins. Typically, Hunter dislikes dealing with reporters, viewing the media circus as a distraction from actual gameplay. However, things take a more uncomfortable turn when a particularly aggressive sports journalist tries to dig into his personal life, subtly questioning if his new public relationship with Demi has affected his focus or his commitment to the team's strict discipline. Demi is watching the press conference live from her laptop at her internship office, her stomach twisting with anxiety over the idea that she might be perceived as a liability to his career, but Hunter handles the moment with absolute precision. Instead of getting defensive or freezing up, he remains completely calm, shutting down the reporter's narrative by stating that his personal happiness has only made him a more grounded leader. He confidently shifts the conversation back to the team's strategy and ice metrics, earning a quiet nod of approval from Coach Jensen and completely diffusing the tension. The chapter concludes later that evening with a celebratory, low-key date night. Hunter picks up Demi from her office, completely brushing off the media noise and reassuring her that nothing outside their immediate circle can shake the foundation they have built. They spend the night ordering takeout and reviewing his upcoming game tape together in their comfortable routine. The author uses this chapter to show that while the public scrutiny around them is growing as the stakes get higher, Hunter and Demi are no longer vulnerable to external gossip, proving they are completely unified as the high-pressure playoffs officially kick off. Chapter 40 brings the play to its ultimate high-stakes athletic and romantic climax as Briar University faces the final, deciding game of the playoff championship series. The atmosphere in the arena is absolutely deafening, with the home crowd creating a massive wall of sound. Everything Hunter has worked for all season, the intense discipline, the captaincy, and the pressure of leading his team through a chaotic semester, comes down to these final 60 minutes on the ice. The game itself is a brutal, exhausting battle against their fiercest rivals. The score stays dangerously close throughout the first two periods, with both teams trading heavy hits and playing a desperate style of hockey. Demi sits in her usual spot in the stands, her fingers tightly gripped around her jacket, watching Hunter push his body to its absolute limits. In the high-pressure environment of the third period, Hunter truly shines as a leader. Instead of letting the anxiety get to him, or trying to make an aggressive, reckless solo play, he remains completely cool and calculated, organizing the defense and keeping his teammates focused as the clock ticks down. The turning point of the game arrives in the final 2 minutes. With the score tied and the pressure at an all-time high, Hunter intercepts a sloppy pass in the neutral zone, speeds past the blue line, and draws the opposing goaltender out of position. Instead of taking the shot himself, he spots Hollis wide open on the perimeter and delivers a flawless, crisp pass. Hollis buries the puck into the back of the net, sealing the championship victory for Briar University just as the final buzzer sounds. The ice is instantly flooded with gloves, sticks, and ecstatic players as the arena explodes in celebration. The emotional peak of the chapter happens amidst the post-game chaos. After lifting the championship trophy with his team, Hunter looks past the cameras and the cheering crowds, lock-focused on finding Demi. As soon as she makes her way down to the ice, he pulls her into a massive, breathless embrace, completely uncaring of the sports media surrounding them. Holding her tight amidst the falling confetti, Hunter makes it clear to everyone that while winning the championship is an incredible professional achievement, earning her trust and love is the real victory of his season. The chapter closes with the couple standing united on the ice, completely at peace and ready to step into the off-season together as a true team. Chapter 41 transitions away from the high-stakes adrenaline of the championship rink and into the reflective, bittersweet atmosphere of the end of the academic year. With the massive trophy secured and the intense pressure of the hockey season finally lifted from Hunter's shoulders, the campus energy settles into a lighter, more relaxed rhythm. For Hunter and Demi, this chapter is all about adjusting to a life where they no longer have to hide their relationship, fight off nagging internal insecurities, or schedule their lives around rigid celibacy pacts and toxic ex-boyfriends. The narrative heavily features the final wrap-up of their year-long psychology project, the very assignment that forced them together in the first place when they were determined to just remain casual classmates. Sitting together in the university library to put the finishing touches on their presentation slides, they look back at their early notes and share a quiet laugh about how desperately they both tried to resist the undeniable pull between them. Hunter, who started the semester completely isolated and hyper-focused on a rigid set of rules, realizes that opening up his world to Demi didn't ruin his focus as a captain. Instead, it gave him the emotional stability he needed to actually lead his team to victory. Later in the chapter, they take a nostalgic evening walk through the Briar campus, holding hands openly without a single care about student gossip or team politics. The conversation turns toward the upcoming summer break and their future goals, establishing that they are no longer just a convenient college rebound or a temporary phase. They talk about balancing Hunter's upcoming professional training commitments with Demi's summer internship plans, mapping out their next steps not as two independent individuals guarding their boundaries, but as a fully unified team. The chapter draws to a close back at the apartment in a scene filled with genuine warmth and comfort. As the summer breeze drifts through the open window, Hunter looks at Demi and expresses a deep sense of gratitude for her stubbornness in breaking down his walls. The author uses these pages to provide a smooth, emotional transition out of the intense campus drama, setting the stage for the definitive conclusion of their story by showing that the foundation they built over a messy semester is officially strong enough to survive the real world. Chapter 42 functions as the official, heartwarming epilogue of the play, jumping forward in time to show where Hunter and Demi's relationship stands after the dust of graduation has fully settled. The collegiate world of Briar University is now in their rearview mirror, and the narrative opens on a bright, sunny afternoon in a beautiful new apartment that they have chosen and moved into together. The space is a perfect blend of both their personalities, featuring Demi's sharp, modern design taste alongside a few of Hunter's hard-earned hockey trophies and, of course, a giant dog bed in the corner for Pablo. The core of the chapter revolves around a casual housewarming barbecue they host for their old Briar crew, serving as a mini reunion for the characters readers have grown to love. Hollis, Summer, Fitz, and the rest of the hockey circle fill the backyard with the same loud, chaotic energy that defined their college years. Watching their friends interact, Demi reflects on how much has changed since she was a stressed-out student dealing with a messy breakup and trying to maintain strict boundaries. She's now thriving in a fantastic new marketing career, feeling completely secure in her own professional identity and entirely supported by the man standing by the grill. Hunter has also successfully transitioned into the next phase of his athletic career, navigating the intense world of professional hockey training camps with a completely renovated mindset. He is no longer the hyper-isolated, intensely rigid player who used a celibacy pact as an emotional shield against the pressures of the sport. As he stands cooking burgers with Pablo sitting expectantly at his feet, he catches Demi's eye across the yard and flashes her a relaxed, confident smile that belongs to a man who has found absolute balance in his life. The book draws to its permanent, beautiful conclusion later that night after their friends have finally gone home. The apartment is quiet, save for the soft sound of the city traffic outside the window. Hunter and Demi sit together on their new living room sofa, completely exhausted but filled with a profound sense of peace. Hunter pulls Demi into his lap, wrapping his arms around her tightly and whispering how incredibly grateful he is for the day she forced her way past his rules. Holding each other in the quiet safety of the home they built together, the story ends on a note of absolute certainty, proving that by learning to play the game of life as a team, they won the ultimate prize. The conclusion of the book functions as a beautiful, reflective wrap-up that leaves the readers with a profound sense of completeness and warmth. Rather than introducing new conflicts, these final pages serve to solidify the core themes of growth, vulnerability, and partnership that have defined Hunter and Demi's entire journey. The narrative closes a few weeks after the wedding, showing the couple returning to their city apartment to unpack their final keepsakes and settle into the quiet rhythm of their new status as husband and wife. The contrast between who they were in the first chapter and who they are now is stark and powerful. Hunter is no longer the hyper-disciplined, isolated captain who hid behind strict rules to protect his career. He is a champion athlete who has discovered that letting someone into his heart makes him stronger, not weaker. Demi is no longer the guarded student carrying the emotional weight of a past relationship. She's a successful professional who is fully secure in her identity and completely cherished by a true equal. In the final scene, the author brings the readers back to their favorite domestic setting, the apartment balcony overlooking the glittering city skyline. As Hunter wraps his arms around Demi from behind, they look out at the world below, completely at peace with whatever challenges the upcoming hockey season and corporate campaigns might bring. The final lines of the book emphasize that while their individual careers will always demand hard work and sacrifice, their love is no longer a fragile secret to be guarded against the world. It is an unbreakable foundation, a lifelong partnership, and their greatest victory of all.